figure out exactly where I am and if I'm in the right place. Let's go see if Stef has a better idea of where he is.
I have a better idea of where I am. We're on the tail of those elephants. It's an elephant herd, and from the sounds of things, pretty big. They stretch about 200 yards off in that direction, up into a crest about there, into a half moon. So an arc of about this much. So I'd gather there's probably close to around 20 elephant there. We've got the wind in our favor at the moment. It's gusting now towards you, which means that we're fairly safe from a wind direction point of view, but this area that we're in now, as you can see, the bush is incredibly thick and has a lack of termite mounds, which is of course dangerous when you're dealing with herds of elephants because you lack the elevation needed to get away from a sticky situation. So what we're planning on doing is making a wide loop around to the front of them and then finding a place with some termite mounds, which will happen on the crest of this hill here. And the elephant's tracks are moving west towards Impala Plains. By this afternoon they'll probably be there, if not later on this morning, depending on where they're planning on getting some water from. And I'm hoping that we catch up with them and be able to loop in front of them fairly soon. That's the plan anyway. You know how these things go, they get sidetracked by a whole bunch of other factors that come in. There's one or two youngsters that are being weaned at the moment, and they have this very distinctive scream that they give when they're not getting enough milk. And there's been one or two youngsters squealing like mad here in the bush in front of us. But it's giving us a nice, it's starting to build up the adrenaline, I can tell you that much, as you're walking. Of course, elephant herds are, in my opinion, the most dangerous animals to try and approach in this environment. And it's because the mothers are so protective, there's so many of them. Elephants are aggressive animals. They don't tolerate human beings close to them at all. Now, this is also typically May, where you have a freezing cold day with jerseys on. You have these bright sunny days, and then your feet are as wet as what they can be. Look at the water that's coming out of my shoes at the moment. So we are squelching through here with toes that feel like they've been in the fridge for a while. It's freezing this morning out here. All right. Now, Taylor's managed to find some signal again, so we're going to send you over to her. Going to give us some time to get up to the crest and see if we can catch up with these Ellies.
We've been searching hard for any little bit of signal, really, but we've managed to find some here at Djuma Dam, and it's not just all the insects and fish that are moving around on the water, but a beautiful grey heron posed on its little log and not fishing at the moment like we normally see them doing. And I don't really blame this little bird because it is freezing out here today, and I'm sure we've all expressed to you how cold it is, but it is chilly, especially at the edge of a dam. It's not particularly warm. I think it's one of the last areas to sort of heat up for the day, but when it does, it will be lovely around here. And this heron will then start its day by sort of, well, fishing around. Now there's, David, can you see all of the sort of splashes of water around here? If you watch carefully, you'll see some massive ripples, and actually the water sort of splashes out. I don't know if it's fish, particularly here in front of the car. You see that, all those ripples? I wonder if they're I can see a couple of terrapin heads. But the way that it's splashing, it just reminds me of a fish coming to the surface and snatching up an insect. Kirst, has Jamie found any lions yet? Or is she still searching for them? Still... Ah, okay, that's interesting. Those naughty, pesky lions. Oh, there's a plover having a bath just next to that heron. Now, we're going to be going into, of course, a pretend ad break again, so I shall do that in a moment. But how cool is this? This little birdie just having a bath. That's very brave, going down in this chilly weather. I don't know if I'd be doing that. I suppose it was like my shower yesterday. Probably feels about the same temperature. hot. Wonderful. This is amazing. And it's great when you're sitting at an edge of a dam like this. You don't know what's going to happen next. But we're going to be heading off for a short break. Don't go too far. Who knows, this heron may wake up from its perch and start fishing. Ah, there we go. Little heron warming up. And I can tell you right now, David and I are also warming up in this heat. And just from the amount of time that we've been sitting here, the whole dam is starting to come alive now. In the last 10 minutes, it's been really, really nice. The sun is at a perfect level. So that's going to warm up, of course, this heron that we're looking at. The plover doesn't mind the cold water, apparently, too much. But I'm sure it'll go and dry itself off now. But the terrapins, the fish, and every other little insect and creature that is living in this dam is enjoying the warmth too. There's definitely a lot of movement on the surface now. And so we've been so lucky. I think almost every single day that I have driven, I've seen a blacksmith lapwing, and it's been bathing. It was really cool because I haven't seen that behavior, all the birds bathing, for quite some time. And I always say it's my favorite thing, and I want to watch Cape Glossy starlings bath, because they are hilarious and they come down in flocks as well, which is quite cool. And they're just such chatty birds, whereas the lapwings, of course, are quite chatty too, but I don't think their call is as pretty as that of a Cape Glossy starling. But it is beautiful. I wish you were all sitting here with me. Ah, that's exciting. Well, I'm going to sit with my hands on my dashboard so that they go from being purple to the normal color that they normally are. Warm them up a bit. But Stef has been searching hard and he's finally found the animal he's been looking for.
We have found those elephant. They're very close. And there's no cover where we are now. So this is just one of those times that it's super dangerous. We've got to be really, really careful. But what we're going to try and do is just come in front of this bush here and see if we can show you. The bush is at the same height as these elephants, so it's quite tough to even see an ear flap. But they're probably about 20 yards in front of us. They're literally just here. Let's see if we can get around here a little bit. Watch your feet. I can just hear crunching of leaves and breaking of branches. Okay, there's one standing over there, but it's just covered in grass. Let's go up a little bit. Okay, we're just going to move quietly through this grass and leaves here. It's actually amazing how elephant can hide away. Lots of sticks here. A lot of sticks here. Okay, I've got one. Come. There's that grey mass there. That grey dark shadow is an elephant. That's just me telling Chandra about where the elephant are and where the sticks are. Obviously, his face is... Okay, we've got an elephant very close here. Okay, coming into the open here. Big branch. Okay, come through. That is very, very close. We're not going to stay for long. chance this elephant will charge? Absolutely, Brittany. This close and with no real cover or no elevation. There's every reason to believe that they'll chase us around a bit, and of course, we've got no real tools to help us here. That's her baby. So, Brittany, we don't. Elephant are incredibly dangerous because people have been hunting them for their ivory for thousands and thousands of years. They've got a real natural distrust of people on foot. It's just so exciting to be with elephant on foot though, that I can't help getting close to elephant to show you. And of course our aim is to get as close as we can to these animals without interfering with their behavior. The best thing for me is to be able to get close to an animal, watch what it's doing naturally, but not let that animal know that we're there. It is the epitome of what trails guides need to do and experiences on foot. So they've moved into this thick bush now. They didn't see us. So what we're going to do is try and get above this thicket. So we're going to create a bit of distance and then we're going to move off. Now Rishi, you've asked me what the closest is we can get to elephants. Rishi, depending on the terrain, you can get right up to elephant. Right now in this terrain today with this wind and the cover that we have, this is probably about as close as what you'll get. Any closer, you step on a branch or you step on a twig, and these elephants all of a sudden know that there's a human there, and that becomes very dangerous for us. So this is as close as what we can get today to these elephants here. It might change if they move into a rocky area, or if there was a place where the elevation was enough to give us a place to get on top of them or underneath them. But right now, in this area, this is the closest we can get. Alright, we're going to try and get in front of these Ellies and out of this scrubby bush. And we're going to send you over to Jamie for an update on that tracking.
Oh, while Stef does some creeping around the elephant, I have some answers for you. The male lion we've tracked, or been tracking all morning, is on Simbambili with 2 other Birmingham boys. That's perfect. I'm with that. I'm happy with that. I figured that's where he was going. One Birmingham boy is walking along Arathusa. There's a lot of vehicles there, so I'm going to wait for my turn before we go in and join him. But apparently he's missioning. He's going really very fast. I'm not quite sure why, but there's quite a few people who want to see him, and because he's heading in the direction of Djuma, there's a lot of vehicles that can't drive on Djuma, so I'm going to let them cycle through first, have a chance to see him with all of their guests, and then we'll pick him up when he starts to cross onto Djuma itself. Hopefully that's what he's going to do. What's perplexing me is the Nkuhumas, and I assume it's the Nkuhumas. These tracks are fresh-ish. I think they're from sometime early last night. But what I don't quite understand is where they've gone and why the Birmingham boys aren't with them. I guess they're not likely to necessarily seek out the company of the males, and they've been so quiet. I'm not sure. I was expecting, with that male's tracks on top of the female's tracks, I was expecting to hear that they were on Simbambili with a male. Lovely to hear from so many of our young viewers, and please, especially on Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day by the way, for those of you in our time zone, very, very happy Mother's Day. If you've got kids that would like to ask questions, please do send those through. I think that's a lovely way to celebrate Mother's Day, watching wildlife. Now Mika, who is 8 years old. Mika, you want to know, is the bush scary at night? Little bit sometimes. I have had to walk in the bush at night before, and I don't like it. It's really, really scary. Even with a flashlight, I'm aware of the fact that this is not what I should be doing, and the times that I've had to do it, it's been because I haven't had any other choice, and I've been very scared. I've been scared of lions, I've been scared of lots of things. Oh, it's Impala. I thought I'd seen lions. I got so excited. Mika, but if you're in a car at night in the bush, then it's not scary. It's not scary at all. You're not a lion. You're not a lion at all. You can see how dark red they are still. It's because they are very chilly. So Mika, yes, the bush can be scary at night, but not if you're in a car with your lights and you know you can drive along, then you're perfectly safe. Do you want to know something funny, everybody? That lion that they've called in, that's on Arathusa, the male lion, he's popped out pretty much where we started our search, where I picked up on those tracks. It's ridiculous. Circles. And I don't know why. I'll keep listening. I'll keep track of where he's going. Hopefully we get to see him before the end of the sunrise safari. As I try and puzzle over the mysteries of the bigger cats, let's see whether or not Stef has found a safe place to watch the Ellies.
Yeah, there's someone who will give you those answers. It definitely will be Taylor. She's a really good student. Now, we've created a bit of distance and we've got an elephant that'll hopefully come into the clearing in a little bit. We've basically got elephants 180 degrees around us and within 50 yards of where we're standing now. Chris, you've just asked me if elephants have good eyesight. I'd say that they have the same eyesight that we do, Chris. It's just not angled horizontally like ours is. It's angled towards the floor. So I think that they've got eyes that can see as well as what we do, and therefore this elephant will be able to see us as easily as what we see it. It's just that their eyesight is angled towards the tip of their trunk so that they can see what they're picking up. And so we're below the level of their sight at the moment. They actually have to lift their head up to see us. So you'll get elephant focus their vision here to see us. They've actually got to lift their head up and look around. And that gives them a very scary appearance when they're startled, because they get big all of a sudden as they lift their head up and their ears come out and their trunk goes up. So it looks quite impressive. It is quite impressive. It's designed to be impressive. But generally speaking, at their feet. Ali, you've also asked, does an elephant smell us? Yes. Ali, they've got an incredibly good sense of smell, much better than us. They can pick up the smell of a human from kilometers away, in actual fact. We are very careful to stay downwind of these elephants. So the breeze is blowing from them to us, and therefore we're speaking softly, we're staying hidden, the breeze isn't carrying our scent to them, and so we are invisible to these elephants right now. But that could change in an instant. And so when around a herd of elephant like we are now, you've got to stay super vigilant. The key is wind direction first, making sure that you are standing with some cover second, and then lastly, of course, you just got to be dead quiet. So no crashing through the bushes. You've got to pick your feet up when you walk. It's just such a nice feeling, you know. A lot of people would be going, why are you doing this? And simply it's because to experience these large animals in their natural environment without them being affected by your presence, the closer you can close that gap, the more into that animal's environment you are, the more plugged in you feel. It would be the same as swimming with a whale shark or a killer whale, or any of those experiences that allow you to not interact with an animal, interact with the environment that an animal lives in at close quarters, but without interfering with that animal whatsoever. I'm just going to ask Kirst, would you mind just repeating Violet's question? So Violet, you just wanted to know if a tree could protect me from an elephant? Violet, no. The only tree that would offer me any real protection would be something like this marula here. I would need to get up this marula somehow to the top of the branches to avoid an elephant being able to get to me. And as you can see, there's no branches close to the floor. There'd just be no way for me to get into that tree. And therefore, it's not really an option for me to use trees. Any trees that are thinner than that, so for instance, this tree here, that offers no protection whatsoever. Elephant will just push that down. So trees not really a help. Right, we are going to make our way out of this elephant sighting now. They're moving into thicker bush with even less cover. And I think we've had enough of a view of them, at least anyway for my satisfaction. And before we create a disturbance, we're going to pull out. It's just been really special to share this with you. And we're going to send you over to Taylor, who's got some vultures to show you.
Close enough. I don't mind being mistaken for Taylor in the slightest. I happen to be very fond of Taylor, and I take that as a compliment. I'm not Taylor. I'm sorry to disappoint all of you that we're waiting for Taylor's voice. But we do have some vultures, indeed. So Stef got the vulture part. It is very difficult on bushwalk, especially when you're with something like elephants, to listen and concentrate at the same time. So a pair of white-backed vultures, who are also, like a lot of our raptor species, coming into their breeding season. And somewhere around, very close to here, if I remember correctly, there was an established vulture's nest. Now, at the moment, what they're doing is warming up, sitting and sunning themselves, and actually making me quite jealous after a cool and damp day yesterday. Very frequently, white-backed vulture pairs, they'll mate for life. They are monogamous. They'll reuse the same nest sites. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if in the next few weeks they are going to nest somewhere very close to this particular area. Got completely distracted by a bird. I don't even know what it was. Sorry. Whiteback vultures have a peculiar taste in nest sites. Tops of knob thorns, which seems to be a ridiculous idea because they're such unstable nests, or such an unstable place for a nest. Anyway, I don't know why they do that. Vulture babies, of course, are born pretty ugly and relatively bald, but there is a very pretty baby animal that Taylor's found.
Behind a termite mound, we are now looking at an adult female waterbuck warming up in the nice long sun, but there is a spot near Cheetah cut line and sort of just bordering with Chitwa where there's a family of little waterbucks, and we sometimes get to see them, so it's quite nice to see them grow. But maybe we'll get another view. I'll try and go forward. Let's try our luck. Let's see. Nature doesn't seem to be loving me too much today, though. Yes, maybe. But we'll have to be quick. Hello guys, they are so small and they are so fluffy. Look at them. And they're much darker in colour compared to the adults. They're not quite that grey colour, they're more brown. They're just moving through the long grass. They don't always seem to settle down with us, the waterbuck, but I don't blame them. Those little ones are quite young. And even though they can run quite fast, I don't think they're as coordinated just yet as an adult. So it is a bit risky for them to come out into the open. So here they will stay, in between all the apple leaves and bush willows and all the lovely long grass, where they'll stay nice and hidden. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen this before, but I once watched a waterbuck running through the grass, and she had twins. She had two little ones by her side, which was quite interesting, and they both sat down in the long grass and Mom carried on running. It was the most amazing behavior that I've seen. It was the first time I'd ever seen it with Waterbuck. I've definitely seen it with kudu and bushbuck and Impala, where the youngsters will just sit down on the grass and completely disappear. Steenbok are really good and Deko good at doing that too. But these youngsters did it. And it was amazing because I obviously kept following the adults. David, I have to point something out to you. On this marula tree, there is a squirrel sunning itself. It's sprawled all out down the bark. Look at that. That is so cool. So yes, it was quite nice. But it completely disappeared into the grass, which was quite amazing. I think the squirrel heard me laughing at it. But look at it. What do you think this is? This is not Mauritius. This is not the beach. Now, all I'm picturing, of course, is a squirrel in a bathing costume. Yes. Are you going to make a noise for us? Show everybody what you sound like? No, you're just going to sit there quietly. So if I were a squirrel, anything that liked to live up in the trees, I think you'd be having a great day now, especially that the sun is out. And you're warming up quite nicely. There's still some massive shadows being casted down on the ground. And I said to David, if I was a leopard, I'd be sitting at the tops of the trees today because it's the first spot that gets the heat. But this is so cool. I hope you're getting some good screenshots as well. There is another car coming behind us, so we are going to have to very quickly move off of the road. We're on Gowrie Main, so it's very, very busy. Even the termites are taking over that little marula tree. Right, let me quickly move out of their way. Haha. Hi, Waterbuck, thank you. You guys were lovely. Now, as we're driving along here, I'm going to just pull off the side of the road. We'll let that car come past us. And Morgan, you're wondering if you can smell different types of animals? Oh yes, most certainly you can. And ones in particular are the waterbuck. They've basically got sebaceous glands, which are glands that secrete oil, just below their stomachs. And you smell it with the males not quite nicely, because the smell that I'm about to describe to you is definitely not pleasant on the nostrils. Actually, let's just pull off over here. And it's a very sort of musty drain water smell, not quite as pungent as an elephant bullet must, but something sort of around there. So yes, you can. Wildebeest have got a scent to them. They're actually the animal that I like least in terms of their smell. It smells a little bit like off butter that's been left in the frying pan and out in the sun for a few days. You normally get that smell from the brindled gnu. Who else has got smell? Of course, elephant bulls and must you can smell quite clearly. Wild dogs, a sweet sort of stinky sock smell is what you get from them, like off cheese maybe. What else? They say giraffe smell. I've never smelt a giraffe though. I haven't been able to pick up the scent, so I'm going to keep my nose clear and ready for the day that a giraffe walks close enough to me that I'll be able to sniff it, but haven't had that just yet. What else? David, what's your favourite smell of the bush? Let's ask David what he thinks.
Popcorn.
Popcorn, there we go. Of course, leopard urine has got the most amazing scent of popcorn too. So there's many different scents and smells out here in the wild, and it just takes a little bit of time to be able to get used to them and identify the different smells. Just the same way that you learn about the different bird calls and being able to identify them not just by sight but by hearing as well. The same thing happens with smells. Right, let's not reverse into the lodge signs, otherwise it won't be too popular. Let's go through. Our warthogs are not here today. Where are they? Coast, please may I have that question again? Sorry, I didn't quite get it. Ah, there we go. Now I got it. Sorry about that. Sometimes there's a bit of crackling in the earpiece and I can't really get the question. So Keith, you're wondering if the male waterbuck help raise the young. No, not at all. They're sort of there for protection. They come and go. Sometimes they're with the herd, sometimes they're not. Unfortunately, with antelope, what happens most of the time is that if a lion or something does come through and is chasing them down, or a cheetah or a leopard or whatever it may be, you'll find that the adults will run away. They will try and move away as quick as they can. They know that they're going to have another youngster within a year's time. It's not like an elephant that's got a super strong bond with its calf and only gives birth every 5 years or so, and I think they understand this. So they definitely put a whole lot more effort into protecting their young. Obviously an antelope will try and protect their young for as long as possible, but in the end, if it means losing their own life, they're going to flee. nasty. And the male waterbucks, I wouldn't like to get on their sort of bad side, because they're quite savage when they do start fighting. I've seen it many times where they're clashing horns, and they always seem to fight in the water too. And often they end up in fatalities when the boys have a go at each other. So it's pretty spectacular, pretty scary as well. Right, let's carry on. But I'm trying to think out here, there's not really any antelope that the males play a role in rearing. Their main role is basically to provide protection for the herd. So they provide protection and they look out for everybody else, and of course mating with the girls and boys. But we are going to be going into pretend ad break in a moment. We shall practice one of those, but it's turning out to be a lovely day, which is of course very exciting after the rainy Saturday we had. But we are going to be going off for a very short break. Don't go too far. Lion may eventually wake up. Stay tuned. That she's put it off a little bit and come out now. So we will try our luck there. Now, I didn't quite hear what Stef has got, but I know his leg. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's wrong with Stef's leg, but let's go and find out.
There's a lot wrong with my legs at the moment. The price of living out here in the bush is that quite often it exacts a price in blood. And look at this, my nightmare. Every one of those little dots that you see there is a tick. We are infested with them at the moment. Look at that. That is the pepper tick. The immature stages of the large ticks around here. We've obviously walked through a nest of them. And now that equals at least a month of scratching, welts on the legs, blood, tears. Oh. It's just, I don't know, you look at this and I think to myself, oh, it's like hearing that you've got some dread disease. Oh, no. And I've got them everywhere. Alicia, you've asked me if I could share what I'm carrying in my backpack with you. Absolutely, Alicia, I'll do that in a second. I'm just willing. Oh. Anyway, there's nothing to do about having the ticks. This is just one of those things. Like I said, Africa, it takes out its price in blood, and pepper ticks take out a drop at a time, basically. So Alicia, I carry a cap, obviously because I have no hair on my head. In summer, the sun really learns me a lesson. I carry a piece of paracord which I've wrapped into a bracelet of sorts. I don't know why I carry it. It's about, I carry there's about 8 foot's worth of paracord. Maybe to, I don't know, tie my leg together if a buffalo smashes me, or I don't know, something. It's just interesting to have. Inside this portion of my bag, I carry some all-purpose duct tape, or gaffer tape as we call it in the film industry. I carry an EpiPen because I'm very allergic to bees. I carry a magnifying glass because I like setting things alight with it, and looking at insects and flowers through it. And I carry a handful of cable ties because without cable ties and gaffer tape, the world will come to a screeching stop as everything sort of disappears. So that's what I carry in that little pocket. In the main pocket, I'm carrying a selection of things. I'll show you now. I'll just get the unruly. I carry a spare cable which makes the camera speak to the backpack because they give us a little bit of trouble from time to time. I carry a tarpaulin which we use as shade, portable shade, rain protection, because it's been really stormy over the last 2 days. So myself and Jandre and Herbie can hide under here if we get caught out in a storm. I carry a water bottle and a pot that's inside there, an aluminium pot which I use from time to time. I carry a binocular case for my binoculars in case it rains. Inside here I have a goodie bag with a hand saw, which allows me to cut poles for the tarpaulin if I need to. Inside here I have a little tricks of the trade handbook, just for reference. I've got my flints, my fire strikers here that makes some sparks. Now, stepping razor, you want to know about the essentials that I have to carry. Stepping razor, pretty much what you're looking at here are the essentials of what I carry. Not to forget that the bag that you carry, or the bag that you pack, needs to change, not every day, but pretty much close to every day. And it's because the bag that you pack needs to be able to give you the tools that you need to be able to do the job that you need to do on that day. So obviously, if I were using the same backpack and doing a wilderness trail where we weren't close to roads, it would have a lot of different kits in it. If I was sleeping over at night, it would have a lot of kits in it. This is essentially just a pack that keeps me going for a show and allows me to do all the things that I do out here and keep us safe in the case of whatever is around. So rain lately, which is why I'm carrying this. Obviously this afternoon I won't carry that extra weight. If it's very hot, I might put in another water bottle. Yeah, it's different stuff for different days basically that we're carrying, but that's the general bag that I have at the moment, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Alright, I'm going to beat myself senseless with whatever sticks I can find now at the moment to get rid of all these pepper ticks, and we're going to send you over to Jamie for an update on those lions.
I know exactly what that feels like, crawling with ticks and just knowing you're going to miss one. You're going to miss one, and it's going to be the one that bites you. Update on these lions. I don't know. I'm not sure where these Nkuhumas have gone. I think they've gone into Simbambili. I think I'm about to trespass. No, I'm right. I'm good. Right. So we've checked the entire northern boundary. The Nkuhumas have been here. And they've been here while it's been raining. And that's where the difficulty lies. Because then their tracks start to disappear. Their tricks. That too. Their tracks start to disappear in places where the soil is relatively hard. And it's very difficult to see. So I'm going to try and chat to the other guides and find out what they think. But for now, we're actually going to race in the direction of that male lion who's decided to change direction completely and is on his way to crossing outside of our traverse area, which is highly unfortunate and not what I expected at all. James, that's a question that I actually need to start properly observing. You want to know how bad must a limp be to be visible in a track? I'm not sure at which point you'd start to see it. And I suppose it depends on the limp. It might be a limp where the animal just puts its foot down, but still, you know, doesn't twist or turn the foot at all, which is what I was seeing in that one track. But if it just rests its foot and then, you know, just doesn't put too much weight on it and hops, I suppose if you're really good, if you are an expert tracker, you might be able to see the depth difference between one track and another, that it's favoring a leg. I know I've spoken before about knowing trackers that look at an elephant track and say, no, he turned his head here. He didn't move, he just turned his head. So I'm sure there are people out there who are very, very good at picking up those sorts of things. I'll state from my level of skill, I would say I would only pick up something if it's quite a noticeable limp. If there is a drag to the foot, that's the clearest. If it's twisting like that one was, I would say that's another clear situation. But I'm not sure at what point it becomes bad enough to notice it. I guess it just depends on the injury. I don't think it will be too serious though, because male lions limp. That is what they do. They get injured, they end up limping. If I drive under this, it's going to break off and whack Craig in the head, and he won't be very happy with me at all. Well done, Craig. I once reversed into a dead tree without realizing it was there, with VM on the back, and the entire thing, all of the bark, everything crumbled and fell on his head. I felt so awful, utterly terrible. Okay, so we're going to be taking another one of our short and imaginary breaks, but we are racing as quickly as we can to get to that male lion, so don't go anywhere. When we next see you, we might have a male lion on your screens. And now we're back with the imaginary, well, we're with all of you. We're always going to be with all of you watching on the internet, but now we're doing an imaginary advert break. I'm trying to speed up because it sounds like this lion is rapidly approaching our boundary and I'm so far away. I don't know if I'm going to get there in time, but I'm going to try. Hopefully he lies down. That would be very helpful. Oh, you can't speed anywhere here. I'm a woman on a mission. Let's find out if Taylor is as well.
We're on a mission. Are you ready, David? We're going to engage warp speed here. Hold on.
All right.
Are you holding?
I'm holding.
Okay. I'm joking. Okay, I'm done not being silly. Right, no, we're just being a little bit silly because we've now warmed up and we've got energy and we've got personalities. We don't have them when they're frozen, but the hyena den is not too far away from here. We're going to go and have a look at it. Oh, Kelly was wondering what Mother Day traditions do we have here in South Africa. Well, I can't talk for every other family. I suppose we're all a bit different, but my upbringing is more Australian than South African, I suppose. And for Mother's Day and Father's Day, we would always go out for either a breakfast or a lunch. That was our tradition, so we'd go out and do something like that. And obviously either mom or dad could choose where they wanted to go. And so that was normal, going out for a meal, and then of course spoiling mom with breakfast in bed. I think that happens quite a lot here in South Africa. But I'm just trying to think. I don't think there's any specific traditions. David, what did you do? Took your mom out for breakfast. Yeah, I think that's sort of it, is to sort of treat your mom, your dad, or even with birthday celebrations, it's quite a thing to either go out and have dinner somewhere or have a meal out, basically. And then of course, well, mom gets the day off. No dishes, no making of beds, all these kinds of things. She can sit and put her feet up and relax for one whole day every year. No, I'm only teasing. But yeah, so mom was not ever allowed to do any housework or anything at all. Not even allowed to make her own cup of tea. And she could be demanding, more demanding than normal. We haven't even said it while we've been live. So happy Mother's Day, Mum, who's in Port Elizabeth somewhere with her friends, which is nice. David, what's your mum doing?
Oh, she's at home.
She's at home. She's waiting for David's arrival. I'm sure she misses you lots. So to all the mums out there, insect mums, animal mums, people mums. Now we've just arrived at the hyena den, and well, Stanley wants to know, when is hyena day? I don't know when hyena day is, but unfortunately it's not today because we've got no one here at our burrow. Yes, no, because do you know when hyena day is? I don't know when hyena day is. Oh. I'm confused. I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain is frozen today. I can't think. But there is, there are no hyenas here today. Have you got a fork-tailed drongo? We've got a fork-tailed drongo. That's all right. We'll take that. Oh, something that I was looking at last night was I watched a video on a lyrebird, and this lyrebird must have gone tweeting on for about 5 minutes or so, going crazy, doing the most ridiculous sounds I've ever heard in my entire life. Mechanical sounds, mimicking everything that you can think of, which was quite impressive. And I was just trying to think as to what birds we have that mimic, and well, the fork-tailed drongo is definitely, I think, our best mimicker out here in the bush. I haven't heard them mimic a hyena call before, but I have heard them mimic blackback jackals, and of course there's many documentaries of them alarming just like meerkats and mongoose, hoping to steal a meal. And that was really cool, not hanging around for too long. Now, yesterday, if you did watch a TV show, you would have seen that there were a whole lot of elephants around the hyena den. So I wonder if that maybe didn't frighten them a little bit, and it could have easily sent those guys moving off, and maybe they will return. Remember, they don't just have one den. There's so many dens out here that could still be used. So there's all those ones near Rebecca's Road in that drainage line just down there. And then there's a second one not too far away from here that they sometimes like to use, and I'm almost certain that there has to be one around on Elephant Carcass Road, because there's always loads and loads of hyena tracks, maybe even off Weaver's Nest, one that we haven't just found yet. But so I think they've probably just gone there, and I'm sure that they will be back. Hopefully we'll get to see them. Oh, that was a sharp turn. Right, let's see. You know what, David has requested that we go towards Vultures Dam, so that's what we're going to do now. But I wouldn't mind popping past and saying hello to those zebra that Stef had. What do you think? I haven't seen an animal with stripes for a very long time. Oh, I saw wildebeest, so I suppose they've got those brindled stripes on them. But let's go and see an actual stripy animal. I'll just go through Philemon's Dip. Oh, this road is wearing quite badly. We have to, of course, go through slowly here. Now, a big welcome to Morgan, who is a new viewer. Thank you for watching us, and I hope you become addicted just like the rest of the viewers. You were wondering if that den was a man-made den. No, not at all. That's actually created by termites, can you believe it? I mean, here's another one over here. Look at this crazy one. This is quite cool. This is like a castle. Quite wide. So this is another termite mound, and made by the large fungus growing termites, which are the ones that create these sort of monstrous heaps. And then something like an anteater, or we call them an aardvark, would come through and start digging around, and hyenas dig very well too. But the aardvark go after the termites, so they excavate into that mound, creating massive holes, and they also like to live in burrows, just as hyenas do. And a hyena will come through and find an old aardvark burrow and widen it, and just I suppose, construct it to suit its needs. And then it will live there, which is quite amazing. So if we can find one that's got a nice big entrance that we can look into. The reason why I don't want to go all the way around and get too close to the entrance, because if there are any of the little cubs inside there, we don't want to bother them and we don't want to disturb them. But there's lots of animals that will live in there, not just the hyenas or the aardvark, but you'll find warthogs. Warthogs love to live in warthog burrows and termite mounds in the burrows. Even snakes. Maybe if there's a storm or something like that and they need to get a quick spot, they'll go in there and look for shelter. Mongoose go inside termite mounds and little holes and crevices and things like that. So it's very important to have these sort of natural cavities out there. Who have we got? Wildebeest are the first animals just up ahead. Turn that down. Hello. They're all popping out now. I'm sure that they're happy that the sun is out, though the wind is picking up all of a sudden, hey? And the zebra. Hi, zebra. I wonder if these are our friends, all those three that we had gallivanting past us the other day. I can only see. Oh, no, there's more. Is it the McCurdy-hurdy? Who are you guys? Where have you come from? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Need to try and get some... Oh, this is nice. Don't you think this is nice? Hello, everybody. I'm back with my friends again. I love these two animals, or two species of animals, of course. Always seen together. I know Steph spent quite a bit of time with them earlier this morning. I think they were further up on quarantine. But they're now moving down into this area, sort of back towards Ingwe Alley, one of my favorite roads, and it's a good spot out here. The grazing is really, really nice. The grass has all turned lovely lush green again. At one point it was looking yellow and a little bit brown, but that has definitely improved. So how exciting is that this afternoon? I think we're definitely going to have to come and find the herd of wildebeest and the zebra. And Kirst, did we come to a conclusion? Is it the McCurdy herdie? I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them, so I presume that it's all those tracks that we had this morning on Buffelshoek cut line that have come down this way. So they've actually travelled a fair distance. Not only is it the big cats that can walk huge distances at night, but apparently the zebras do exactly the same thing. But that's great. For a Mother's Day, I think this is a perfect group of animals to have around here, because you've got wildebeest with all their calves, and I don't see any young foals in this particular herd of zebra. And there's lots of those little wildebeest just up in front. Hello. Very relaxed. And they're relaxing more and more around the vehicles now. Look at that. They don't mind us shuffling about in the cars or the sound of my voice so much anymore. This is really wonderful. Right, but I'm going to send you back across to Stef, who still seems to be having some bad luck with ticks on his legs.
We definitely are. I'm busy scouring the bush at the moment for some insect repellent, and of course when you're looking for something it's never readily available. Now the best to use is Osmum canum, which I'm hoping to find as we go slightly further down towards the drainage line, but of course I'll settle for almost anything that I know has a insect repelling nature at the moment, just to beat off the ticks that we've got gathering in force. But nothing just yet. Let's go look there closer to this termite mound. Maybe if I find something interesting to talk about, it'll take my mind off of it. Or not. It's amazing when you get infested with ticks like we've just been. Every little itchy point on your body you want to scratch, you want to see, because for the next 2 or 3 hours we're going to be picking off these baby ticks that are biting us. They bite, they suck a minute quantity of blood, and then they drop off actually, but they leave a welt, and I can show you on the back of my leg what that looks like already. So there you go, is the first of the tick bites that have already started to come up there, where I'm scratching now because it's itchy as anything. It feels like a mosquito bite, only it doesn't. There's another one. Awesome. World of Stacy, you wanted to know, do they carry Lyme's disease? They do carry tick-borne diseases. There's about 13 different diseases in South Africa that you get. We do not get Lyme's disease here though, but we get a thing called tick bite fever, which is like Lyme's disease, just not as bad, and it's a different type of parasite borne by ticks. But yes, we do quite often get sick. We've had Craig down with tick bite fever this year. Senzo down with tick bite fever this year, and that was all within a couple of weeks of them actually starting here. Who else? We had a couple others this year. We almost all get it. Jamie and I have had it this year again, but the longer you work in the bush, the lesser the effect that the tick-borne diseases have on you, and it just ends up feeling like a bad hangover. And of course you know, you can deal with it, basically, is what I'm trying to get at the end, and eventually you still notice it, but it's not as bad. Here we've got a lucky bean creeper, which is quite nice. I'm learning how to identify these creepers now in the bush. This is the lucky bean creeper. Laurie, you wanted to ask, do oxpeckers land on people in the bush? Laurie, I wish they would. I'd gladly sacrifice myself on top of this termite mound to a flock of oxpeckers at the moment to pick off the ticks. Laurie, the reason why they don't is because the oxpeckers primarily feed on blood. The red-billed oxpeckers primarily feed on blood, scabs, earwax, and that's the majority of their food. And then adult ticks. They don't really pick off the young pepper ticks. The red-billed oxpeckers, funnily enough, do have a comb on their bottom bill, and they can comb the fur for pepper ticks. They do that, but it's not the primary reason for their visiting of the larger herbivores. But I wish they would come and land on my head and come and comb the hair on my legs to come and get rid of the ticks. And anyway, let's not concentrate on that anymore. I think it's becoming definitely. Now, Brock, you just asked me a question about genre and does he avoid the ticks? No, he gets bashed by ticks as much as what I do, except that his skin tends to only attract the larger ticks. I don't get nearly as many large ticks as what genre does. However, pepper ticks definitely tend to affect me more than they affect him. However, about 5 minutes ago, Genre had no clothes on and was bashing himself. And it's just a very funny picture. Yeah, if we had Connor and his drone above us about 5 minutes ago, it would have been a very different explanation to you, I think, Brock. I'm quite glad that I'm be able to identify these lucky bean creepers at the moment. For a number of years I couldn't really find the plant itself, but with the help of Herbie, him and I have managed to find where they grow. They grow fairly close to drainage lines, not in drainage lines, and then almost in association with these marulas. And although there's no lucky bean seeds here at the moment, I can't find any seeds or any seed capsules, I definitely know that this is the creeper of the lucky bean creeper. In my opinion here, the most poisonous plant that we have. Tiny little seed, half the size of my nail, a quarter of the size of my nail actually is enough to kill you if you ingest it. The three other very poisonous plants that I know of over here, the Boerfane distico, the Bushman's poison bulb. It gets this lovely fan of flowers. A bulb gets a bulb and this beautiful pink flower. And then that grows here, although I've never seen one in the Kruger National Park. A lot of them in the Waterbuck. I've never seen one in the Kruger Park, but they do occur here. And then the Acacanthera, or the I think it's called the Bushman's poison plant or the Bushman's arrow plant, but Acacanthera oppositifolia is the other very, very toxic plant that we find in the Kruger Park. So those three are the three most poisonous plants in the park. Acacanthera is being used for years as a base for dart poisons and for arrow poisons. Bushman's poison bulb, similar to that, although it was used in poisoning rites and in murders a lot. It has an effect of stopping your heart. And then this Abrus precatoriae, which is also used in poisoning. Alright, we're going to carry on looking for some naturally occurring insect repellents over here to probably dominate the rest of the show for us, at least anyway today. We're going to send you over to Jamie, who's got an update on those lions she's been tracking.
Well, I hope that Stef finds something that works, because if he does, he will be a hero, not that he isn't already, but a hero to all of us. That whenever we go out and bushwalk, we can smear some kind of natural insect repellent on us. Now, unfortunately, I have bad news. Lion went into Hoffman's. So close and yet so far. Unfortunately, that's one area that we can't drive. We can't go there. Everybody has different places they can go. Everybody can drive on different properties. And unfortunately, that one is outside of our area, which is most unfortunate, but that is just the way the cookie crumbles. So I've decided I want to go and find Stef's elephants, but I have no idea where Stef's elephants are. So actually, if Stef could tell me where Stef's elephants are, or were, that would be marvellous. You can see lots of tracks in the road. Hopefully we figure out exactly where they were. Zoe's Road. I'm on Zoe's Road. What a lucky coincidence. At least I know I'm tracking the same ones. Closer to Impala Plains. So I'm less close. It's okay, we'll figure it out. We'll find some elephants before the end of the sunrise safari. We failed with the lions. Dylan, who is 13 years old, lots of kids watching at the moment. Dylan, welcome to our sunrise safari. You want to know what are some of the most common animals that we see? Let me try and find you one, because I have to say I haven't been very lucky this morning. I've been the opposite of lucky this morning. Let me find you some. One of the most common antelope that we see is the impala. There are lots and lots and lots of impala wandering about. I should at least be able to find you one of them. Hornbills is a very common bird that we regularly see. The hornbills are right up there. Starlings are a very common bird species that we see. Lapwing species. We used to see lots and lots of buffalo, Dylan, but what happens is with different rainfalls in different parts of the reserve, there's some place with really nice grass, and the buffalo disappear off. So those are probably the most common. The most numerous animal out here is probably the termite. There are lots and lots and lots of active termite mounds. Particularly on rainy days, the termites work all the way through the night and then into the day. That one's not active, so I can't show you that. I can show you oh, there's the elephants. Yay! Found them. I was going to show you a common bird, but there's the elephants. I'll look for impala for you, Dylan, and can show you what the most common antelope looks like. There's our Ellies, far away. We'll have to do a quick loop around and catch up with them from the other side. Looks like we've got a whole herd here. Now I know that Tristan had a magical elephant sighting yesterday, and when he got home he told me that there were hundreds more coming back onto Djuma. Isn't it strange the way that goes? One day no elephants, and then all of a sudden lots of elephants. Okay, let's go catch up with them. Let's go drive round. I know. Zoe, I agree. You say the elephant sightings lately have been out of this world. I guess I know we've been very lucky, but I would consider any elephant sighting lucky. But the fact that we've had late rains, it's nice and cool, there's lots of babies wandering around. I think all of those factors really sort of make for some spectacular sightings. But we really have been lucky though. Something that I've been pondering about, I'm talking about it last night without any major conclusion. The fact that so many of these elephants are pregnant, and so many of them have these tiny little calves, and I'm really truly impressed with an elephant's ability to get through a drought like the one that we had and still give birth. Because I mean, elephants are pregnant for 22 months. That means at the height of the drought they were pregnant and still managing to get enough nutrition for themselves and their babies. And I mean, the drought was evident in the elephants. They were thin, their bones were prominent, their hip bones, their pelvises, their backbones. They were not healthy elephants, and yet somehow the mothers have managed to carry their calves. And there's an impala for Dylan, our most common antelope. Here we go, Dylan. Just quickly while we make our way around to the Ellies. Beautiful. Still dark red, so they're still feeling a bit chilly. They fluff up their coat and they actually become a much darker colour. Very pretty. We take them for granted because we see them so frequently, but they are actually really very pretty antelope. But elephants await, and I think we need to go and catch up with them. Now I know that I remember reading somewhere that after the major drought in Amboseli, elephant calves births of elephant calves went up after the drought. I'd love to know what the biology is behind that. I'm going to pull a Stef. I think I'm sending you over to Taylor with the golden orb spider.
It's over to Stef, but I'd take Taylor any day of the week. I make enough of those mistakes actually to celebrate them rather than seeing them as a negative. We found 2 of the seeds underneath that plant. So for those of you who are seeing this for the first time, that is the lucky bean creeper seed, and just one of those is enough to kill a person as big as me just by biting into it. Isn't that incredible? So that is the lucky bean creeper seed. Of course, a handful of these make for a nice decoration, but they're also as deadly as the puff adder was that I found yesterday, as a big injured male lion, as an enraged elephant, or as an angry Anopheles, a hungry Anopheles mosquito female. Let me put it that way. That's the range of deadliness we have here. But we do have a golden orbweb spider, and this female her web is almost brand new. She's busy spinning a new one. You probably find that last night it was damaged slightly. Her larder is still intact. She's got a beautiful larder of insects around her web at the moment, made up of beetles and butterflies and locusts. So she definitely has had a very good season. And this is going to be one of the last times that we see these spiders. The first cold fronts came through this weekend and will continue to do so, and will eventually kill these large females when it gets cold enough. But what I'd invite you to do at this point is, why don't you take some time to marvel at this web. Marvel at the size of her. She's about as big as what you get. Marvel at her beautiful colors. Take as many screenshots as you can and file them away in your file, because they're going to disappear, and with it will disappear summer, and we will go into our dry season, into our winter period. And when you see us marveling at them again, they're going to be small young females that have just emerged after the winter, and will then obviously be trying to make the most of their gaps in the bush in summer, and to try and make it. For this female to make it to where she is now is a phenomenal feat of survival and evolution, and it just is something that we need to appreciate. Absolutely. Jean-Ray says that he can see a little dewdrop or mercury drop Archirodes spider. I can also see it gleaming brightly just in front of her, or in front of her for you. And that, of course, are the ever-present neighbors, unwelcome neighbors, but being so small, they escape notice from the larger female, and they then in turn, and I'm noticing for the first time, sharing her kills, and obviously cutting out the smaller prey from the web that she doesn't notice or is too small for her. All right, that is that for this particular spider. For now, we're going to send you quickly over to Jamie, who's managed to find a hornbill nest for you.
Now, I just have to show you, sorry everybody, I did not hear Kirsty's comms at all, but I have to show you something really cool. Look in that hole. There are 3 hungry little faces appearing out in the form of red-billed hornbill chicks. And Kirst, I think I've actually, oh, there we go. I've got it back again. I've got comms once again, which is good news. There we go. I can hear Kirsty once again. Oh, there's 3 little hornbill chicks in there, and if we wait patiently, we've just seen the adult feed them. If we wait patiently, they could pop their bills out any moment now. It's so cute. I didn't realize the hornbills were still breeding. I'm very impressed. Perhaps the late rains have inspired a late breeding of hornbills and various other bird species, I imagine. There you go. You can just see them shuffling. They were making such a noise earlier. They're quiet now, waiting for one of their... Here he comes, here he comes. Can you hear them begging? Hey, cuties. Well, that's the wonderful thing, and it's very well timed for Mother's Day, because the female hornbill will climb inside that hole. Such a tiny hole. Hello, little beak. Shh, making a racket. The female hornbill will climb in there, you lose her flight feathers, and she'll actually be blocked in by the male. And then once the eggs hatch, she grows back her flight feathers and she breaks out, and she helps the male to feed them. You can actually see where all of the waste material's coming out of that hole. Oh, there's an eye! Look, there's an eye looking at us. Welcome to the world, little bird. Yes, we see you. Herbert, it always amazes me. You want to know how do they get out of that tiny hole, and it really is, it's so small. But birds are capable of squeezing through very narrow spaces. Of course, they've got the fluffy layers of feathers that actually take up quite a lot of space, but can be squished down, kind of like a cat. You know how cats can basically squeeze through any kind of opening that their heads can fit through? Hornbills are much the same, or all birds are much the same. And they're a lot smaller than they actually look. Oh, look! Voracious looking things. They're actually I find baby birds quite terrifying. You know, odd. Okay, not terrifying. That was the wrong word. There's something manic about baby birds because, of course, they've got to outcompete each other. They've got to outcompete their siblings for access to food, and whoever shoves their way closer to the parent whenever the parent gets back and makes the most noise is the one that's most likely to get the food that it's after. It's more pronounced in raptor species, where ultimately you get quite a bit of siblicide, whether actively or passively. And by actively I mean pecking the other chick to death, which does happen with quite a few birds, or passively in that they just completely attract the adults. They monopolize, that's the word I'm looking for, monopolize the adults' attention so that they get all of the food. And I'm keeping an eye out. I want one more feed. So I'm just waiting for Mr. Hornbill or Mrs. Hornbill. I don't think the female's still in there. We're just waiting for Mr. Hornbill to come back with their next meal. They're still tiny. You can see their bills are a yellowish color, not the bright red of the parents. Come on, Dad or Mum. There's hungry mouths to feed in there. Looking out, pecking at bits of bark. Hey, little guys. There we go. Anne was wondering about the mother bird and if she was still in there. I don't think so. I haven't seen any sign of a flash of a red beak amongst the tiny 3 yellow ones. Oh, pulled something out. What's that? Piece of bark. That's not going to be very good to eat. So I don't think she's in there. And I've noticed that these chicks are quite far along in terms of their fledging. You can see they've started to get the adult colouring. And I think at this stage Mom has probably broken out. And you can see the hole's been opened up a little bit. And Mom's probably broken out, and she's probably assisting Dad when it comes to the feeding. I could be mistaken on that, but I don't think so. I think we would have seen her by now. I definitely counted 3 beaks, and they were all yellow. But those chicks are quite big. They're almost at the stage, I think, where they're going to start breaking out themselves. I think that hollow must get very squishy. I'm not sure how large it is in there, but all 3 of them, they're like little dinosaurs, sticking their beaks out. Come on, Mum or Dad. Quickly, one more feed while we sit here patiently. The reason that I saw them, because my spotting skills are good but not that good, was because I heard the one screech at the adult as it was flying away. And then I started looking for hollows in the tree. They make a very characteristic screaming noise that they will continue to make even once they've fledged. And there's a family of red-billed hornbills that lives in our camp, and every now and again we get that whine of one of the chicks asking for food or begging for food. It's a delicate balance, this, because it make too much noise and you could actually attract predators. A harrier hawk would make short work of these little chicks. What's it doing? Interesting. Is it adding or taking away to the edges of the hole?
Digging.
Looks like it's digging, doesn't it? Is it almost time to break out? Are they going to make the hole a little bit bigger? Look at that sinister eye. Hornbills have manic eyes. They're not actually manic, but they just look a bit odd. Oh, here we go. Well done, Craig. Well spotted. The adult is back. I don't see any tasty treat. Oh, no, I do see a tasty treat, but why? You've gone in the wrong direction. Your babies are that way. Maybe the adult just wants the food for itself. Oh, here comes one, here comes one. Here comes the second parent, so mom is out. There we go. Oh, vicious squabbling happening in there. Still one more adult to go. Here it comes. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe there are only 2 in there. I thought I saw 3. How cool is this? That's awesome. This is probably the best view of hornbill chicks I've had, poking their noses out of the hole. Ooh, someone's upset. Oh, definitely a nest to keep an eye on, I think. It's a wonderful thing. You don't just, when you're on these live safaris, you don't just come out for 2 or 3 days holiday. You get to follow the comings and goings of all the animals for days and weeks at a time. I think there's only 2. I think I miscounted. Whilst the third one is not capable of pushing its siblings out of the way. Okay. Nice. Nice. Exciting find. I actually figured we wouldn't be seeing that many more birds' nests at this time of year, but proved mistaken. Speaking of cold snaps, those little chicks would probably be quite vulnerable to a really bad cold snap, just because it's so late in the year. I'm sure you're all wondering what Taylor's been up to. Let's go and find out from her.
We're driving around at the moment. We're deciding where we're going to do. David has been looking for raptors. He's been staring up into the sky, hoping to find a big raptor. Which one were you looking for, David? A battalier. David was looking for a battalier eagle. Did you find one? No? No. I haven't seen actually very many raptors today at all, which is unusual because I thought that we would have still seen them perched this morning with all the bad weather that we've had, but finally we've actually got, we were just looking at hornbills with Jamie. We've got hornbills of our own over here. The southern red-billed hornbill, there was a pair of them. One has swooped off into the distance. But now you can also see how the wind has picked up. And it's done exactly the same thing. But there's definitely a... Oh no, there's another one that's just landed straight in its spot. That was quite cool, actually. Very nice, but the tail feathers are going quite quickly. Now, let's keep our fingers crossed. Please, everybody, keep your fingers crossed that we're not going to have gale force wind for this afternoon. We would like perfect blue skies, warm weather, and lots of animals. That's what I'm, of course, hoping for, because I haven't seen much this morning at all, except kudu. Hello, just cleaning its beak. Now, Adele, all the way from the UK, has asked what is the most common bird sighting we have here. Adele, we're actually quite fortunate. We see so many different types, but I think just looking at this red-billed hornbill with their cousins, the yellow-billed hornbill, those two must be some of the most common sightings. And then, of course, the doves. We see plenty of turtle doves, of laughing doves, the occasional emerald-spotted wood dove. There's starlings all around. Egyptian geese are probably up top there too, and the list is quite endless. We're very fortunate here in South Africa. We've got over 800 species of birds in this particular in this particular country, in our country, which is quite spectacular. And out here we must get over 300 at least. I actually still need to work on my bird list. I've been procrastinating. I haven't done that. But I think my bird list is probably on just over 500 birds now. But that's because, of course, I've been lucky enough to go to other countries as well, into Zambia, which have some of the birds. And that's a good spot also, apparently, to groom yourself. Hornbills spend quite a bit of time on the ground as well as up in trees. They do spend most of the time grooming when they're up top in the trees. Or, as you saw with Jamie, if they've got chicks in a hole, they'll feed their chicks through that way as well. But they don't necessarily perch themselves when they catch an insect, which is quite interesting. Some birds will catch something out of the air and then they have to go and sit down back on the branch before they eat it. For instance, the swifts. The thing is this: the swifts are these tiny little black birds, and they eat, sleep, and mate on the wing. So that means that they're doing that while they're all, of course, flying. Now we seem to have a couple of attacking. Let's very quickly go back across.
Yeah, we have gremlins every now and again. It's just one of those things. By bringing you a live wildlife show from the middle of the African bush, you know, every now and again we go into a signal shadow or a tree gets in the way. Is one of those things. I still haven't found my insect repellent. What I have found though is one of my favorite weeds to rub in my hands. This is a purple pan weed. You can see the purple flowers there. I have rubbed them into insignificance though, unfortunately. But it is the most unbelievably strong camphor smell. So I like rubbing it on my hands. My great grandmother used to make her own hand cream. And I remember when she did it, she used to put a lot of camphor in it. And so when I smell my hands and smell this camphor smell, I'm always reminded of her house. She lived in this little red brick house. Oh, and it just brings back some good memories. So my great grandmother and camphor. And so yeah, and hand cream I suppose, which is what it is. You know, those little things that we do out here. And it's for Mother's Day, exactly. I keep on forgetting that it's Mother's Day. I'm sorry. I've been meaning to wish everybody happy Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to every one of you out there. Happy Mother's Day to my mother and of course my wife, Hyena, and my mother-in-law and everyone else. And all of you, which is most important. Happy Mother's Day on a day like today. Thank you. Without your efforts, we wouldn't be the people that we are and we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So thank you very, very much. All right, and on that note, before I start rambling too much about anything, we're going to send you over to Jamie and some elephant.
Oh, I think an elephant is a perfect Mother's Day animal since they are such fantastic mothers. It's my turn now. I know Stef was afraid of rambling on. There's little to no chance my mum will see this because she's away at the moment. But happy Mother's Day, Mum. I wish I could spend it with you. Actually, let me rephrase that. I wish you could spend it with me. My mom absolutely loves elephants. They're her favorite animal. And I think that she would really enjoy spending a morning in their company. Who doesn't love elephants? I'm pretty sure this is the same herd that Tristan had. I know he had a female with half an ear. That female at the back has half an ear. She's in fact, not even a third of her ear. William, who is 7 years old. William, you'd like to know what is the name of my favorite elephant? William, typically on a big reserve like this, we actually don't name all that many elephants. But I can't choose just one. Can I tell you some of my favorite names? There was an elephant where I used to work because it was a known population. We knew exactly how many elephants there were, called Cheeky. And Cheeky was my favorite elephant because Cheeky was, as her name suggests, cheeky but not aggressive. She just was very protective over her family. And that's what mommy elephants do. They're really very good at protecting their entire herd. And whenever I drove up to that particular herd, Queenie's herd, she would walk right up to the car, not angry, just to make sure that we were all behaving and that we were going to continue to behave. So Cheeky was special. Yesterday I saw one of my favorite elephants. It's a female with a short trunk. She's called lots of different names. We sort of call her the stumpy trunk elephant, but she's got lots of different names out here. And then there's one other very special elephant called Olympia. Now, Olympia is the mother of Benjamin Button, who was a little baby elephant with a very wrinkly forehead, and I like Olympia because Olympia was named by a very special little girl called Gracie. So those are my favorite elephants. Hello, big guys, girls, sorry, ladies, you're all ladies. I'm not going to reposition, I'm just going to wait for this female to come to us. There's a little male. Okay, so I wasn't completely off. There are some boys here, some young boys. They look as though they're going to come right across to our camp. I think we're going to have an elephant-filled day. I think we're going to spend our day eating breakfast, listening to the sound of elephants feeding. That's lovely. And then, of course, don't forget, we have our Mother's Day TV show this afternoon from 3 to 5, which means the sunset safari will be 1 hour shorter. But I'm sure you'll all be joining us. We have plenty of exciting things planned. And on the subject of time changes or reminders, we actually have another time change scheduled, and that will start on the sunrise safari on Tuesday, and the date escapes me, the 16th of May. The sunrise safari on the 16th of May will begin half an hour later. And that's just because we're driving around in the dark as it is. It is, of course, winter, so the days are getting shorter. And when we drive around in the dark, we drive over tracks. And we can't actually do our jobs to the best of our ability. So the best time to be out is with the sunrise. So we're changing our time with the sunrise, and the sunrise drive, hello beautiful, will be half an hour later. Here you go. This is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for her to come to us. Oh, is that nice? Nice acacia. She's looking at me with disdain. Straight into her mouth. She didn't even bother to break it off with her trunk first. They love these red thorn acacias and flaky bark acacias, and there's quite a few of them in this area. And their diet's going to shift more and more towards eating trees. It sounds as though our morning is warming up, and so are the animal sightings. Taylor's got 3 different species.
We do indeed, and this is something I suppose we can expect as we head into the cooler months of the year, is that the animals are going to start to get active a little bit later in the day. Not necessarily the predators. They'll still be up and early and doing their rounds when the sun is behind the horizon. But the zebra, the wildebeest, the birds even, the warthogs that we've briefly got to see, they'll be starting their days a little bit later. Now, this is the same zebra and wildebeest we saw just a moment ago. Actually, not very long ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. And they were going into the thicket, but now they've turned around and come back out of Philemon's dip and sort of back onto quarantine again. And I was saying to David, I would love to know what's going through their minds and what makes them decide why they do things. And we've got a question this morning from Riti, who is wondering if all zebra stripes are the same. And the answer to that is actually no. It's like a fingerprint. It's a unique marking, and most animals are like that. You won't find 2 animals exactly the same. But what you can look at is if you look at the shoulder of a zebra, you'll notice that there's sort of a triangular patch there. Now, when you do have zebras, say, in zoos, or they're following a particular herd for breeding, or research purposes, they need a way to try and identify them. And of course you can use cuts and notches out of ears, but they will actually take a photo of the particular stripe pattern within that triangle, and then that's what they will use on each zebra. So they'll choose either the left or right shoulder, and then they will go from there. So there is, of course, a way that you can be able to identify them. And it is quite difficult, though. For you and I, it's exceptionally difficult. I find it difficult. I couldn't even tell you if this was the McCurdy-Hurdy or not. How many have we got, though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7, and I think we had 9 at one point. There were a couple more as well. There were 2 groups. Ooh. Tamsin, this is a difficult question to answer. You're wondering, what is my spirit animal? David, I'm going to pose that question to you as well. What is your spirit animal? Think of it. A monkey. David says a monkey is a spirit animal. I'm not sure. I don't know. Kirst, what do you think my spirit animal is? The McCurdy-Hurdy. The McCurdy-Hurdy is apparently my spirit animal, so I'm not just one, but I'm many. I'm all of them. Tamsin, I'm actually not sure. I don't know what it would have to be something that's quite erratic. I don't know if a zebra is spunky enough to be my spirit animal. I'm a little bit on the wild, energetic side. Just in case you haven't noticed, Kirst actually has now said, Kirst is directing, of course, she said maybe a dwarf mongoose, possibly. Something with a very little attention span. That's what I need to be. Oh, David, look at those two wildebeest. They've just dropped down onto their knees. A little bit to the right, just next to the zebra. Look how cool that is. They're just playing around, horning themselves. Oh, this is so cool. I love it when they do this. But unfortunately, that is almost time for the end of the sunrise safari. But I hope that, of course, you have all enjoyed it today. We've had a variety of different animals. The cats, however, they left us in their dust today, but hopefully we'll find them this afternoon. Remember to join in for the TV show a little bit later. Don't miss it. We look forward to hearing all of your questions, and then we will see you again soon. Cheerio.